This is Jamie Drummond with Good Food Revolution. I'm here with wine writer, shall I say, Mr. Philip White. How are you today, sir?
I'm really well, man.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to the point you are in your life today.
I came to the wine industry from under the ground. I worked in mines as a kid. I knew a lot about a specific part of geology of these ranges by the time I was 16, and I've just been fascinated by what's beneath the ground. And I've always been amused that winemakers never taste their soil or the rocks in which their roots extract the flavour for their berries.
For you, what makes the McLaren Vale a special place?
First of all, it's the most complex geology of any vignoble on earth that I'm aware of, and I've been to most, which is fascinating in itself. It's also maritime. We have a joke that McLaren Vale has the best Mediterranean climate on earth, which those who live in the Mediterranean
won't be too happy about.
Unsavoury. But that's the way it works. And 3 years ago, I finally gave in and came to live here, and have become very involved in this district, in the sense that I feel that I've got a bit of a message for the winemakers in trying to explain their very complex geology to them.
Wine Australia, Australian wine, is going through a little bit of a, shall we say, a wane right now on the worldwide stage. What do you think the major issues are that have brought this situation about?
It's about transnationals and industrialisation of viticulture. Most Australian wine is mindless monoculture, and I've always been a believer that the better wines come from those who understand their plot and their little spot of ground, those who love it and treat it with great respect. They're the ones who make wines of character. Unfortunately, we've fallen into the hands of huge transnationals that mine Australia for sugar. They have less environmental awareness than Australian miners are obliged to have. And they extract sugar, they use water, which we don't have, and we've had a wine boom that was based on three incredibly erroneous presumptions. One was a weak Australian dollar, which is silly, considering our natural resources. One is an unfair wine tax, which favours those who make cheap wine. And one is access to an endless supply of cheap water, which we don't have. So the whole thing is based on nonsense. And now, I think, fortunately, although it's going to be very uncomfortable for many, that's starting to crumble.
What do you think the way forward should be for the Australian wine industry?
We should get back to understanding our local geology, working out which varieties best suit it, which we've hardly done. You know, Australia, we plant varieties that are easy to grow. Chardonnay, Cabernet, things with thick skins that are disease resistant, and we plant them everywhere. We should be much more sensitive to our soils, our geology, which is beneath the soil, because in Australia the soil's only a few inches thick nearly everywhere you go. Underneath that is rock. All rock has its own flavour. That influences dramatically the flavour of wine. Little guys who understand that, whether they're aware of it or not, produce the great wines which the world loves most and pays the most for.
Now, I have heard some scientists put forward the argument that the soil, I'm talking about the flavours that one would find in the soil, are never translated into the glass itself. What do you have to say about that?
Tell that to an Italian market gardener who grows tomatoes. If you study geology, you learn that you taste rocks and you actually learn to discover what group they are and what sort they are by their flavour. All rocks have a flavour. Berries are little balls of water. It comes up through the roots, and every rock has a flavour. It must influence the flavour of the wine.
Now, something I picked up from you earlier is you really get annoyed when people use the term minerality, and I'm guilty of this myself when I'm speaking about what I can find in a wine. Why does that annoy you in such a manner?
All minerals have different flavours. Salt is different to lime is different to mercury. I think you find mercury may be a mineral. Ice is a mineral, technically. To me, using the term mineral is like saying vegetable, and pumpkin tastes different to basil. It doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to use a term like that, at least find out the flavour of the mineral in your vineyard and explain which mineral it is.
Now, you've recently been doing some geological work and research. Well, recently, you've been doing it over the last how many years?
Oh, the McLaren Vale geology map, we commenced work in 1974.
And when did that actually come to completion?
Last year.
Last year. And how are you moving forward with that? How is that influencing what is happening in the McLaren Vale today?
I believe that now the McLaren Vale winemakers have their geology map, which is very, very precisely accurate to within metres. I think it will take them at least 10 years to work out really what that means. I think there's an unseemly rush at the moment to announce the delineation of sub-regions.
Yes.
To me that makes no sense. It will take them many, like Burgundy, there's two sorts of rocks, and that took 2,000 years to work out.
Right.
Here we've got dozens of different geologies, and it will take a really long time, given the map, for them to work out which geologies provide which flavours to which varieties.
Now, if any of our viewers were wishing to explore many of your actually wonderful diatribes a little bit more, where would they read some of this?
Look at my blog, Drinkster.
Drinkster. How does one spell that?
Drinkster. Drinkster.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution. Really appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
To your health.